Hey there, I'm Sully, and as always, welcome to the Gun Club. Alrighty, got a few crazy things to kick off today. Some of it just not going to believe. I know that there's parts of it that I don't even believe, but we had an update came through yesterday, and this one actually I found because thanks to Sean, give a hat tip over to Actual Justice Warrior. He brought this one up, and when it came out, I kind of wondered, and I researched it a little bit last night, and sure enough, it's the truth. If you think back over the summer, we did an incident report about a shooting. It happened in Baltimore, Maryland, in the Brooklyn Park area, the Brooklyn Park Housing Authority, Brooklyn Park projects. They were having Brooklyn Day. It was July 2nd, 2023. Everyone's having a wonderful get together, block party of sorts, having all sorts of fun. Well, lo and behold, this is the latest update we've got on it. Now, there have been two arrests made. One was a 17-year-old, one was an 18-year-old. This 18-year-old, who's been in custody subsequent to that, is now being transferred from adult jail to a juvenile facility. Now, why would we transfer an 18-year-old to a juvie facility? Lord only knows, but he is. The gentleman is facing 57 charges. The shooting that ended up, that shooting in July, left 2 dead, 28 wounded, and this young man is now being moved from adult jail, big boy jail, down to kiddie jail, juvie jail. Now, one of the problems is actually 5 people charged total, 2 people dead, big mess. But I want to focus on this one for the minute. Why would we move an adult down to juvie jail? Well, a judge ordered it to happen. We don't know why. The attorney related to the situation, he says it's strange. He's never seen anything like this. But, Jackson will see some benefits from the transfer. The young man's name is Jackson. There's his picture down on the bottom left. We're actually streaming this right live off of the Baltimore CBS channel to get the latest we can. As a result of the pretrial status, from his understanding, it'll be a much better setting for him. Now, this young man, again, was already out on bond from a previous firearms violent offense and on an ankle tracker when he committed this shooting back in July. And when he goes down to juvie jail, because of the fact they can't house juveniles with adults, guess what? That's right. They're going to put him back out on another ankle tracker, is at least what it looks like. The Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office says that his case should take priority over the juvenile matter. As it stands, DJS does not consider public safety when determining whether a youth should be detained, and we fear the possibility that DJS will allow him to be released back into the community, even though a judge found when he was arrested that he wasn't indeed a threat to the community. Now, the juvenile justice says they can't comment on the case. He's been no bonded as an adult, which you figure when you're facing 57 charges, many of which are attempted murder, and you've shot up a group of people at a block party, you probably get no bonded. That's what? A violent person. Is he a risk to people at a block party just enjoying themselves? Yeah. Should he be kept in jail until such time as, the trial comes? Well, how strong is the evidence? Newsflash. They've got him on closed circuit TV spraying bullets into a crowd indiscriminately as they run and dove for cover. How are we talking about gun control in this country when we have this lack of crime control, criminal control, whatever you want to call it? We see this again and again. We had a 17-year-old who was on an ankle monitor from a previous violent firearms-related felony arrest, commits this heinous act or is involved, at least part of it, in this heinous act. And what happens? Well, they're going to put him back in juvie jail, and the juvie can't hold him, so they're going to release him on another ankle monitor. This is the revolving door, folks. This is why we can't get a hold on crime. I was watching something earlier today, and they said we need to do something about gun crime in this country. Gun crime? We don't need to worry about gun crime. How about crime? We hear about we need better gun control. How about better criminal control? Let's deal with violent crime. Let's deal with violent criminals. Let's get some of these people off the street because this has gotten nuts. As we read down in the article, I think it would be extremely unlikely and there wouldn't be a mechanism legally for the release of the individual from DJS. They're going to wait, and the mayor says we should wait to see if he's going to be held accountable in the adult system. His job is to make sure, according to the mayor, that the police arrest the individuals. We're going to be in Annapolis. It is my top public safety piece of legislation to change the outdated policies around home monitoring, but that's not just for youth, it's for adults too. Why is home monitoring even in the equation with this? Folks, this is the most egregious default or lack of action or whatever you want to say about law enforcement, about anything, when you see we have an 18-year-old who has shot into a crowd on video. His location was confirmed because he was previously on an ankle monitor before from another violent firearms related felony. And we're worried about what the best environment for him is. We're worried about where he'd be best suited. Jail. Jail. It's spelled jail. Lock him up. Is he a violent threat to the community? He shot up a block party, dude. No brainer. But what do we have? This is a failure of the system. Folks, if you live in Baltimore, if you live in this area, get on your elected officials. This new judge, I don't know the whole detail on who he is or what his background is. I do know that he formerly worked under Marilyn Mosby, the work prosecutor up there. Why is crime in Baltimore what it is? Does it have to do with the guns, or does it have to do with the fact that people are being wholly held unaccountable? That they can go shoot up anything they want and be right back out the next day. It is what it is. All righty. Second thing I want to hit on tonight. I want to touch on Miss Aaliyah Wallace again. I did it over the weekend, and in case you missed the show over the weekend, we had a few chuckles and a few laughs, and I may well do a couple this weekend too. I had fun doing them on the core response shows. Getting into this stuff, it was basically, to me, a chance to have a little bit of fun and play a little bit. So it was what it was. But one thing we did cover over the weekend was the story of Aaliyah Wallace. Now, Aaliyah Wallace, if you're not familiar, she's a single mother of 4 girls, ages 9, 8, 4, and 2. Now, her apartment has been broken into numerous times. She finally got frustrated, obtained a firearm for her protection and the protection of her 4 baby girls. This went against the apartment rules, however, because the apartment rules are going to be safe space kind of thing. As a matter of fact, it's a public housing project. So in order to make them safe, no one's allowed to have any guns. So we've created a nice gun-free zone. That also, comes into being a target-rich environment. It's kind of those sensitive places laws, and we'll talk about sensitive places here in a minute. But we look at this stuff. We have Miss Aaliyah's apartment gets broken into on the night of December 14th, 2023. The first attempted break-in occurred at 1:22 in the morning. She called the police. They came out, took some pictures, took a report, did some paperwork. No one breaking in at that point, no one to arrest, nothing to do, back in service. Catch your next call. Well, shortly after the police left, someone tried to break in again, attempting to force open the window into the bedroom where her 8-year-old daughter was. As the gentleman forced open the window, she fired with this handgun, fires 2 shots, striking the individual and ultimately leading to his demise. I'm sorry he died. I don't want to see anyone die. However, you've got a mama bear protecting her baby bears in her apartment, in her home, after the police have already been out, after she's been burglarized repeatedly. What happened? It kept going, kept going, kept going. Well, unfortunately, the young man died. Turned out he was only 14 years old. However, what's a 14-year-old doing out breaking in someone's apartment at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning? No, we can't have that discussion. But with what they've done, the apartment complex, since it's a public project and she's not allowed to have a gun, they're now evicting her. And there's a possibility if they evict her that she will not be allowed to go into any other uh, subsidized complexes because she used her Second Amendment rights, because she's a mama bear who protected her little girl. Come on, man. It's a bad one. Now, fortunately, the GoFundMe for her has been wonderfully successful. I know, again, shout out again to Sean AJW. He had put this out, I think yesterday, the day before. We put it out over the weekend. Maj Touré up at Black Guns Matter put it out. I don't care, regardless if it's a housing project or she's a single mom or this, that, or the other. All I'm saying is to Miss Aaliyah Wallace, she did right. She exercised her Second Amendment rights, protect her child, protect herself from what? Somebody coming in her window at 2:30 in the damn morning. We cannot have people like this being picked on. Now, this happened in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, Texas is rocking 2A all the way. Unfortunately, Fort Worth is one of those blue dots in the middle of a big, pretty red state. And so Fort Worth has decided that in their projects, you must give up your Second Amendment constitutional rights in order to have subsidized housing. You must understand that you sit back and be a victim, and your children should be victims too. This wasn't her doing anything wrong. This wasn't her doing anything bad. The only rule she broke, and it's not really a law, more a rule, was having a gun in her own apartment because that apartment doesn't qualify. Now, if you want to talk about a double standard of living or a double standard of justice, why should a single mom protecting her child not be entitled to the same rights that I am in my own home? Remember, if she wasn't living in the city housing, this wouldn't be as much of an issue. She wouldn't be getting evicted for it. But because it's city run housing, the city tells Miss Wallace that you're not allowed to have certain rights. We'll help you out with your 4 children, but that's okay. Just give up your rights, Miss Wallace, because you're less than a citizen. I hate to say it, but it's almost like we're going to treat her like maybe 3/5 of a citizen, if you get my drift. This is crap. And I'm glad, like I said, that the GoFundMe is rocked out for her. I think she's raised now like about 65 G's. I'm hoping she hits 100 G's. Why? She's done everything right. She has done everything right. She went to the police. She went to the apartment. She's broken into multiple times. She said that they would barely even help her fix the windows where they were getting broken into. Did they put any extra security in the apartment complex? Did they do anything to try to eliminate the criminals? No. The powers that be let the criminals run wild and tell the citizens that they need to be the victims. They tell Miss Wallace that she's not allowed to protect herself. Well, I hope for the best for her and her little girls. And I hope with this GoFundMe, they're not only able to get out of the project, I hope she gets herself a nice place in a safe neighborhood where her little girls don't have to worry about people busting in their windows at 2:30 in the morning. But if they do, at least they know Mama Bear is going to be able to protect them at their new place. So I'm glad that's going really well. Like I said, I'm not glad that the guy got shot. Don't get me wrong. I know that's the way people try to take this. But if someone was going to get hurt or killed or, injured that day, I'm kind of glad it was the bad guy. I'm sorry, but, he chose a lot of bad choices going in that apartment at O'Dark 100. And it is what it is. So, again, now that, she's getting evicted, well, she's going to go get herself a nicer place. But I think we need to look also at, the double standard of living and the double standard of justice. Why should she have to give up her rights and be less of a citizen while she's living in a facility, a public housing complex? public housing complex for taxpayers supported to help people like a single mom with 4 young kids. Shouldn't be that she gives up her rights to be there. I'm sorry, that's BS. All righty, next article up I've got. Now, this one came out a while back. This is a video that's been running around like crazy, and the video is actually from about 10 years ago. But it came to me again this weekend, and it does really show off some of the perfect insanity we have going on in the country. This happened again, like I said, back 2013. Just to hit the hot spots of it here, regarding a call in Cave Junction, Oregon. Excuse me, Cave Junction, Oregon. Gentleman is trying to break into a house. His ex-girlfriend is in the house. She's on the phone with the deputies, with 911, and they have no one available to send. The gentleman is breaking and pounding and trying to get in and screaming, and she's already told him that she's calling the cops and everything else, and he doesn't care. Says, call me when you want. I'm going to get in. I'm going to get you. Well, unfortunately, at this time, it was in Josephine County, Oregon, or also known as the town of, Cave Junction. Well, 4 o'clock in the morning, the ex-girlfriend is calling the police, and unfortunately, there was no one available. No officers available, no officers on duty, because at that point, they were kind of short on budget money. They had lost a grant, lost some stuff. So the PD did not have overnight coverage during that time frame. So if your police department has a policy or a grant issue and doesn't have overnight coverage, or if they've got great coverage, but maybe no officers are available because it's busy, the 911 operator is telling her, oh, don't open the door, don't do this, don't do that, but I don't have anyone to send you. The 911 operator tells her that on Monday she can come down and make a police report if he breaks in. This woman sat there in terror, knowing what was going to happen to her. She told the 911 operator, and I quote, if he gets in, it's all over for me. Well, lo and behold, eventually he got in. Now, when he got in, he physically as well as otherwise assaulted her violently and was later arrested for it. And, after choking her and doing other things to her and some stuff, but they did not have a police officer to send to her. So for all the people out there who say, oh no, we need to get rid of all these big bad pew-pews and we need to go out and, do great things and try to help out and, well, if this gentleman, I'll blow him up for you, if he is outside your door and you're his ex-girlfriend and he decides that he is going to come in, and you can read the caption on the picture, nightmare scenario, Michael Bella was arrested in Oregon last August after he broke into his ex-girlfriend's house, choked and raped a woman who was unable to get the police to come because they just didn't have coverage on duty. Now, the fact they didn't have coverage on duty, that's an administrative issue with the sheriff's office and the powers that be. I deal with all that. But I'm sure she really didn't care why they had no officer to come when he broke in and was choking her. What did she have? Well, she didn't have a pew-pew. Because, why would you need that? You go into any place, public building, anything else, we've got a fire department, but we still have fire extinguishers. We've got EMS and paramedics, but we still have AEDs. But just because we have police doesn't mean that they can always be there in time, and always be able to deal with the problem. But yet we don't want to have anything to protect ourselves. To go the step further, go back, glance if you want to, Castle Rock v. Gonzalez. That was basically a situation where the victim, young lady by the name of Gonzalez, her ex-husband, had her 3 girls, had her kids, I think it was 3 girls, I'm not sure, don't hold me to that one, had her kids, multiple kids, wasn't bringing them back, was supposed to, had violated the custody orders and everything else. Law enforcement's like, oh, nothing we can really do about it. Call them again, call us back, call us if they're not back by midnight, whatever else. Eventually, the man murdered the 3 kids and then got in a shootout with the police and killed himself. That case went on because the woman involved, the mother of the children who were killed, sued the police department. The Supreme Court ruled in the case of Castle Rock v. Gonzalez that the police have no actual duty to protect you. Translation: if you're sitting on the phone with 911 begging for help when the bad guy gets in the door and proceeds to brutally do whatever the hell he wants to do, the police have no duty to get there in time. We'd like it if they do. And I'm not anti-cop. I support the cops who do, and there are a lot who do a great job. Fact of life, they can't get from 0 to your house instantly. When seconds count, cops can be minutes away. I know this. I worked in a rural area for years. We worked with some really, really hardworking, great deputies. I know there was a night that we had a domestic situation going on in my neighborhood where I called the sheriff's department, personally spoke to the watch commander and told him what's going on, that kids have come running out of the house saying dad's got mommy by the neck up against the wall. I'm asking him, how fast can you get a car out here? And he's like, bro, we're tied up. And it wasn't him being an ass or him being a jerk or anything else. He said, I don't have anything free. This county's busy tonight. Well, fortunately, she lived through it and she's gotten out of that situation. But on the other side of that coin, again, not necessarily a bad neighborhood, nice neighborhood, private subdivision. Yeah, we called and we were told that I'll get your car as quick as I can, but nobody's free right now. If we can't be responsible for our own safety, I'm not saying we get rid of the PD and get everyone a gun. Just like I'm not saying get rid of the fire department and get everyone an extinguisher. But if the fire department's busy and you've got a kitchen fire, kind of nice to have an extinguisher. And if someone's got you by the throat up against the wall trying to beat your brains in, kind of nice to have a gun. This is the picture of the man. Now, the video and the audio track of the call is on our Twitter feed. I put it up there. I'm not going to play it on here tonight. Just folks, y'all don't need to hear that. And, if you want to, go hear it, go listen to it, whatever. Otherwise, you can check it out on our Twitter feed down there. Again, I also announce all of our upcoming shows and events on the Twitter feed. We're going to be having some special guests in after the first of the year. Been working on lining up guest scheduling. But again, here's the story behind that audio track. It's on our Twitter feed. Yeah. Out of control, jilted lover coming through the door and no one to help you. Not a good place to be in life, if you ask me. But, okay, let's go on. Do we have any good news out here? Well, maybe. I'll try to find us some good news. How's that? Let's see if I can find us some good news. Got one for you here. This one comes up out of Pinellas County, Florida. This is our good guy with the gun story. A man shot and wounded, fortunately wounded, didn't want the attacker to die, but if he had to, he did, whatever, I can live with that. But a man shot and wounded an intruder who forced their way into the home and tried to attack the man's wife. Witnesses told the sheriff's department that the intruder appeared to be high on something. Well, okay, if he's high on something, that's fine. He still broke into someone's home. You hear talk about the castle doctrine. What is the castle doctrine? That says your home is your castle, and you shouldn't have people breaking into it. And if they do break into it, that you can take steps to defend yourself, your life, your family. This should not be that hard in this day and age. It just doesn't quite go with me. Let's see here. Kind of way, like the way they phrased this. Got to give Fox Tampa Bay a little heads up on this one. Man shot by homeowner has now been arrested for breaking into Pinellas County house. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office has arrested a man for breaking into a home on Bath Club Boulevard in North Reddington Beach, where he was subsequently shot early Wednesday morning. It's like yesterday. Deputies originally responded to 16400 Gulf Boulevard after receiving reports of a man who was later identified as so-and-so yelling in the area. When the deputies responded, officials said a second call came in from a home on Bath Club Drive to report a burglary. When deputies arrived there, they found the suspect in the road after being shot. Authorities said he smashed through the window of the home on Bath Club Boulevard using a large rock. Once inside the house, he started grabbing the 74-year-old woman who he saw once he was inside. So yeah, you're 74, you're in your own home, and what happens? Idiot make idiot here breaks in and is going to do something mean, cruel, rotten, and nasty. Well, little by little, we come through here. 76-year-old heard the husband scream for help, grabbed his gun, 76-year-old husband heard her scream for help, grabbed his gun, and shot the intruder. Firearms serve a useful purpose. Firearms are the ultimate force equalizer. Firearms are how a 76-year-old man defends his wife from the 20-something-year-old attacker coming in the house. Neighbors said he ran down the street, which is when he was stopped by the deputies responding to the area. They believe he could have been under the influence. They couldn't calm him down. He was crazy on drugs, and with the pain from his shoulder, they got him in an ambulance and took him away. One neighbor said, "In my 55 years here, I don't know of any crime, but you've got to be stupid to break in here because you're on a cul-de-sac. You just aren't going to get away. Kind of trapped in a place, or you're high on drugs." Suspect did survive and is expected to be taken to Pinellas County, Florida jail. That one's got a happy ending. It's got at least a decent ending. All righty. Well, good morning. See you in the chat tonight. We have W. Daisy Girl. Hope you are doing well, my dear. Who else we got coming in tonight? I know we've got 11 in Rumble tonight. It's actually a pretty good night going on. Not too many over in the YouTube crowd, but that's okay because I like rumbling anyway. Daisy, where are you from, girl? Say hello to everybody over here in the clubhouse. Everyone's coming kind of quiet tonight. But yeah, it's, you got to wonder when you're sitting there and it's 74-year-old man, or 76-year-old man defending his 74-year-old wife. Got to give it to him. Fortunately, he had something. Otherwise, well, don't know how that works out for this lovely couple. They're in their 70s. They've worked all their life, and now this is going on. Let's see what else we have. In South Bend, Indiana, we had a armed concerned citizen who ended up shooting someone outside a gas station. It happened Thursday morning last week at the Phillips 66, and has been ruled a justifiable homicide. Just before 1 a.m., they're called to a robbery in progress. When they arrived, they located a person later identified as so-and-so near the gas station. He was suffering from apparent gunshot wounds and pronounced dead at the scene. They interviewed a number of witnesses, including several patrons and the clerk of the Phillips 66. They advised the person they did not know, later identified as Mr. So-and-so, entered the gas station with a handgun and attempted to rob at gunpoint. As the witness later stated, he then got into a struggle with the clerk. At that point, an armed concerned citizen interceded on behalf of the station clerk. During the course of the attempted robbery, the concerned citizen discharged his firearm, striking Mr. So-and-so, who then fled the gas station and collapsed a short distance away. We've seen it before, we'll see it again. It is what it is. It just blows my mind. I want to talk a little bit tonight, and it's going to be a very quickie, but I want to get out something. We hear a lot of media malpractice and lies. I want to talk about everything you're seeing about sensitive spaces. And when sensitive spaces have been announced in many states, what we're looking at is Bruin response laws. In case haven't seen it recently, the New York State, in the case of the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, we got a very big win. It basically said had to take states from may issue permits to shall issue permits. Prior to this, there were certain states in the union where it said, well, you may issue a concealed carry permit, just like you may let a lot of things happen, but there was no requirement for it. So agencies use this to be somewhat, well, we'll just say discriminatory, because the law enforcement agency could look you over and decide whether or not you were the kind of person, or the color of person, who might be worthy to have one of their concealed carry permits. Maybe, maybe not. And they had the ultimate discretion and didn't have to tell you why or why not. Now, laws like this come back from the 1860s, where you can guess people weren't really enlightened on a lot of things. There was actually one in North Carolina that it was up to the local sheriff to determine if you were qualified to purchase a firearm based on your good moral character. Yeah, see, good moral character is kind of a question. Clean record, not clean record, no question. That's an objective fact. Good moral character? Well, I don't know. Maybe you're entitled to a permit, maybe you're not. You might be worth the Second Amendment, you might not. That kind of reminds me of what happened to Aaliyah Miller. She was only like part of a person. She didn't really have her Second Amendment rights. Well, a lot of these may issue laws became shall issue after the case New York Rifle and Pistol versus Bruin. Subsequent to that, many states have instituted safe space or safe place or sensitive place laws, depending how you phrase it, what state you're in. We've seen them in New York, we've seen them in Maryland, we've seen them in California. Now, the one in California just got voted down at the district court level, and Governor Newsom is appealing it to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, not Second Circuit, but to the Court of Appeals. Now, why would he do this? Why does he want this? Well, this whole list of sensitive spaces was a list of places you can't take a gun. So the Supreme Court says I must issue you a permit if you qualify. It's no longer my discretion. Fine, I'll get you your permit, but we'll declare a lot of things to be sensitive places, and that way your permit will be second to useless. Because you have a permit to carry, you're just not allowed to use that permit. But you understand, it's a safe space, and so as a result of that, we have that problem. Now, when we look at the whole concept behind safe places, Governor Newsom had several that he pointed out. One of them, off the top of my head, was, private businesses that were open to the public or private facilities that were open to the public had to post a guns welcome here sign or something to that extent in order for your permit to be any good. So unless a business wanted to actually post a concealed weapons welcome sign, you could not carry your gun in there. Another one I've seen in several of these Bruin response acts was in California, where they were trying to basically prohibit people from carrying guns in any amusement park. Okay, maybe don't need a firearm in an amusement park, any shopping mall, any church. Now, when you think of churches, that one kind of blew my mind. How many times did we see churches get attacked? Now, if we're going to take it and apply it to churches, assumably it would apply to any religious house of worship. So any church, synagogue, mosque, anything like that, no firearms allowed in the building by proclamation of Governor Newsom. Now, while you may say, well, why would anyone bring a gun to church? I get you. Do you remember the Pittsburgh Tree of Life Synagogue that got shot up not too long ago? It was back probably about 4 or 5 years ago right now, I think. Well, the only thing that stopped that shooting was a good guy with a gun. It was a responding officer, but okay. We can go one step further. The incident that happened with this one, with Miss Wallace. Gun-free zone. We're going to make your apartment a gun-free zone. Kind of nice. All these things with these sensitive places serve to do nothing but restrict our ability to protect ourselves more. Now, a while back, Governor Grisham, Michelle Lujan Grisham, out west, I believe it's New Mexico, she came up with a law about safe spaces or gun-free zones every playground. Now, if you think about it, I don't know what you value, okay? I know how different things have different value to me. This lighter may not have a whole lot of value to me, not as much as this phone. Well, most parents, their kids have a lot of value to them. They're pretty high on that values list, as well they should be. But Governor Grisham was making any playground a no gun zone or a sensitive place or a home of sitting targets. So again, when we talk about what's important to you, I would think your kids are. If you're out there with your kids, you'd want to have the best tool at your hand to defend them. Unfortunately, thanks to Governor Grisham, any woman taking her child to a playground must be unarmed, must give up her Second Amendment rights in order to take her child to the playground. It is what it is. Now, I'm assuming that if a bad guy were to show up and do something at the playground, he'd also respect the gun-free zone. No, they don't typically, do they? He wouldn't respect the gun-free zone. As a matter of fact, he'd know where to go looking if he was looking for a woman to hurt or a child to abduct, because, hey, I know everybody in that little pot out there are all fish in a barrel in a gun-free zone. Folks, these sensitive place laws are going to get more people hurt. Gun-free zones have been one of the biggest soft target areas. You know what? Shooters like the kid up in Buffalo a while back, what was that, Peyton or whatever his name was? He said he went to a place with the most aggressive gun laws because the chance of encountering any resistance was light. Look what they say. They'll tell you. They really will. And that was written in his manifest. Go to a place with cucked gun laws. They can't resist. And that was his key to success, to getting the best possible body count and shooting as many people of color as he could that day. Why? Go where they're defenseless. I guess that's why that kid kept breaking into Miss Wallace's apartment. He knew in that project she couldn't defend herself or her kids. I guess he could go into that 8-year-old's bedroom and do anything he wanted. Folks, I'm calling it like I see it here. I know it's nasty. I get you. I'm sorry that I can't always be rainbows and unicorns. Although this weekend I may try rainbows and unicorns. We may try a little bit of a drinking stream playing on Quora, because that was fun the other day. I'll give it that. But yeah, from a standpoint of some of these sensitive place art angles, they're trying them in California. They're getting shot down. They're appealing. They tried it in Maryland. They got shot down. They're appealing. These safe space laws, victims live here. That's all it is. So, well, folks, I'm sorry if I was a bit of a Danny Downer today. Yell at me later. Throw something up in the chat. Folks, we got any questions, anything you'd like to see me cover anytime soon? I know we got a whole bunch of folks seem to have come into Rumble. It's tweaking up there a little bit. If you've got something you'd like to see here, have me research, or a case you'd like me to cover, give me a holler, let me know. If you want to listen to the actual voice recording of the 911 call from Oregon that I talked about earlier, where the dispatcher told the woman, "Good luck. You can call us Monday if you survive." Yeah, you can check that out on our Twitter feed. Folks, if you don't have anything, You all have a safe and wonderful new year. I hope you've had a wonderful Christmas, or in the case of those who celebrate Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, I hope you've had a wonderful time with family. I wish you all nothing but the best for a safe, healthy, happy new year. And I may well see you this weekend for a late night choral rant stream. All righty. Well, y'all take care. Be safe. Bye.